Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is September 4th. It's Tuesday. My name's Jeremy Lesniak, and this is my first cup of coffee. Coffee's good. Yeah. So you might notice same mug as yesterday, because I do that often. Reuse the mug. Just rinse it out. Doesn't have to get washed. I mean, it's nothing. I don't put cream in my coffee. I don't really do anything on the first cup of coffee, so not much to worry about. You might also notice if you are someone who watches earlier in the day or at a particular time that this show is coming out a little late, about an hour late today, because I slept in. Because my grand plans for taking most of the day off yesterday didn't happen. I worked from 9 to 3. A little bit of a break in there, but for the most part, yeah, I worked. So, because I worked, hung out with some friends last night, stayed up a little late, so I slept in a little late. So the show's a little late. That's okay. So the thing I wanted to talk about, someday I'll have like a camera person, so I don't have to fidget this myself. The thing I wanted to talk about today was adapting to chaos in your schedule. Now, I'm not going to show you my calendar, but if I did, you would see that it's insane. Once in a while, I will show people my calendar, and they look at it and they say, wow. Because there's a lot going on there. In fact, I use my calendar not only to tell me where to be and when, but it helps me organize and prioritize what I'm working on. So if I have an idea or a task pops up or just there's something I have to get done, it doesn't go on a to-do list somewhere, because to-do lists are really hard to manage when they get beyond more than, a few things. It goes on my calendar, and I put on, I give it a title, and I set a time for it. When is it going to happen? I give it my estimate as to how long it's going to take. And that allows me to shift my day around. It allows me to prioritize on the fly. And on those occasions when I finish things earlier than I expect to, I can move on to the next day and pull something forward, or back rather. Forward, back? I can pull something to the current day and work on that. And I've been using that system for quite a long time. It's the best thing I know how to do for the way I work. And it's something that I've heard other people do, maybe not as fanatically, but I'll also use it as kind of a diary. Like, what happened? When did this happen? I put in, like, if I take a break, that goes on my calendar. I took a break for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever. In fact, I used to, with my previous business, with the IT company, I had an app on my phone that would log something into my calendar when I made or received a call, how long it was, the phone number it was to, if there was a contact entry for that number, what that name was. And that allowed me to go back and search, when did I talk to that person about that? It was really handy. When you don't have a whole team at your disposal to keep you organized, you've got to figure out how to do it yourself without a lot of time, not spending a lot of time, because the more time you spend organizing, the less time you're actually getting stuff done. Good. So why is that so important? Why does that work so well for me? Well, because sometimes things happen. Sometimes your day completely blows up. Whether that's something personal, I get a call around noon from a friend. Hey, I forgot to tell you, I'm in town. Let's have lunch. Oh, shoot. I haven't seen you in 3 years. I would really like to. Okay. Shift the day around. What is most important? When's that going to happen? Maybe I work a little bit later this evening. I let go of something else. But also, it forces a bit of honesty about the things that I'm working on. So one of the things one of the mantras I kind of live by And I certainly did not make this up, but the notion that any task you're going to take on, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. If it's not so compelling that it is a no-brainer that you have to do it, don't do it. Save your time, save your space, your mental capacity for working on things that are no-brainers. And so as I organize my day, as I prioritize my day, the things that are least important are going to inevitably slide to the bottom. And what happens when I don't get something done on one day? I move it to tomorrow. And when I find that something is moving to tomorrow, to tomorrow, to tomorrow, to tomorrow, it's clearly not that important. And it forces me to take a step back and look at it and say, do I really need to do this? And the answer usually is no. When I start getting overwhelmed, when I start feeling like there's too much happening, I can go into my calendar, which, by the way, is filled with a ton of recurring appointments. Today alone, let's see, I think there's only one recurring thing today. Many of the recurring things are on Monday. So yesterday, I want to say there were 4 or 5 recurring things that added up to about an hour, hour and a half. And here's one of them. I'll be honest about one of them. So you may or may not know that we have a social media service called Black Belt Social Media that was launched around the idea that we've gotten pretty good at running social media, that we understand what makes martial arts social media followers tick. And so we've got that service, and we opened it up for other people. And one of the things that I was doing to help promote it was writing a blog. Initially it was daily, and then it became weekly, and now it's not at all, because I was looking at it and looking at the numbers and realizing we don't have a lot of people coming to this. While I believe that the service works, and starting at $19 a month, it's compelling financially, we need other things in place before it makes sense. It's a service that targets our business customers, our wholesale customers, and we don't have many of those yet. We've been focused on growing retail because there's a higher margin in retail. I mean, let's be honest. So I took a look at that recurring Monday hour-long appointment for writing a blog post for that site, and I deleted it because it doesn't make sense right now. At some point it'll make sense again, and I'll know when that is. It'll pop up. And that method of being able to organize and schedule works really well. Now, what's the downside? The downside is that I feel completely overwhelmed by anything that is a recurring appointment now. When friends say, hey, do you want to join this soccer league? It's every Tuesday at 7. I get anxiety because I have such a hard time adding more recurring appointments to my life. Now, the left part of my brain really, really wants to keep things scheduled and organized because it means I just know what I have to do. I don't have to think about it. But the part of me that wants to not work 24 hours a day struggles. And so what I'll do when I get really stressed out is I can look forward in my calendar and say, okay, when's the next time I have, 2 or 3 days where I don't have anything critical going on? And I'll carve those out for myself, whether I go away or I just promise myself I'm not going to work, or more likely, I just don't take appointments. There are plenty of days where, I'll have 3 or 4 days in a row where I will block off, I'm not going to do podcast interviews. I'm not going to go to appointments. I'm not going to go teach at someone's school. I'm going to keep it to the bare minimum that I need to move the company forward, so I can maybe sleep late, I can go hang out with friends, I can go to lunch with somebody. It gives me more flexibility. So what's the lesson in there? The lesson in there that I'm going to suggest to you is that if any of those things seem to make sense and you're not doing them, give them a try. But more importantly than that is understanding how you work. What is your best way to be productive? And be productive in that way. Be honest with yourself about how you work and who you are, because all too often we pretend. People procrastinate. They spend a lot of time developing a new organizational system because that's easier than getting the work done. And that's BS. Don't do that. It's not worth your time. You're better off admitting that you're taking a break than pretending something else. So, all right. Now, I'd love to hear from you how you stay organized. If you want to, you can comment below. I don't really ask for comments. There aren't that many of you watching, but it's slowly ticking up, so that's kind of cool. And if you're not subscribed with notifications on, subscribe and hit that little bell dealy. Notifications. I do this show weekdays. Yeah, so. All right. I'm going to go finish my coffee and get out of here because I have a meeting. But breakfast is involved, so it's cool. All right. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.